I joined the core committee team in welcoming you all to AABN 73rd webinar. Thank you all for joining us today for our webinar. As someone once said, the show must go on. Not that this is a show, but I appreciate your effort to be together virtually. We are here truly as one unit. At AABN, we do our best when we do it together. So this is a good first step in the right direction to forge synergy between all of us for one goal as we all want to achieve, promote business networking. Yes, we all experience an unprecedented situation with the COVID-19 pandemic. It has put into question how and where to go from here. Everybody grapples with the immediate needs of this crisis. We probably only just have seen the tip of the iceberg of the many shifts this pandemic will trigger in terms of the socio-economic fallouts and so much more. Yes, we have a picture of both tremendous challenges, but also one of hopeful signs. For a change to be successful, the 5 outcomes an individual needs to achieve are awareness, desire, knowledge, ability, and reinforcement. Change management is an open-ended statement with huge potential. Mr. Atul Vij, Director and CEO, Stone Experts Germany, and proprietor TX M2 Consulting, has been a guest speaker on numerous forums focused on supporting people through change and getting the most out of other disciplines and initiatives. In this webinar, Mr. Atul will lead the conversation, sharing insights and inspiration from his experiences. During times of uncertainty, it is helpful to ground our thinking on what we know to be true. In today's webinar, Mr. Atul will make connections to today's challenges and explore actions you can take in pursuit of individual and organizational goals. Our AABN entrepreneurial community are rapidly adapting to change and coping with continually shifting priorities. Let's take an hour to come together as change practitioners and address some of the most pressing challenges we are facing. In today's interactive webinar, Mr. Atul will guide us to learn to use tools to enable agility, promote resiliency, and manage a fluid environment. During this webinar, Mr. Atul will discuss what it takes to make a strategic investment in change management and how to lead your workforce through transformations while minimizing negative impacts. We are saving time for you to get prepared with those important questions you have always wanted an expert to answer. Our speaker has a distinguished career in corporates and consulting. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Atul Vij. The topic of today's webinar is Change and Challenges, the Game Plan of Success. This topic is of great importance to us in the context of today's shifting priorities. Our speaker has a great depth of knowledge and experience in this field. Before I hand over the floor to him, let me quickly run you through his achievements, a long list that has been cut short by me rather reluctantly to save time. Mr. Atul is an MBA from Institute of Management Technology, IMT, and Alumni IIM Calcutta, having 32 years of experience, which includes 16 years in consulting, including McKinsey, and 16 years in industry, in operations, corporates, CXOs, and CO roles. While having his own company, TX M2 Consulting, led turnarounds by aligning systems for profits. He is now a director CEO at Stone Experts Germany for their Indian operations. His other organizational experience includes President and CEO in Sai Group, General Manager of Business Transformation in Intex Technologies, Vice President Business Excellence in Minda Group, Junior Partner in MSG Advisors Private Limited, New Delhi. His expertise lies in strategy and execution, profit maximization, and business excellence. Expertise and results. Turnaround expert. Groomed at McKinsey on leading business turnarounds. Led 12 business turnarounds each in less than a year. Currently working on 13th and 14th turnaround business growth assignment. Played key role in 20x growth in 11 years, auto component, and 2x in 2 years in 4 other companies. Initiated and formalized JV between a Spanish leading firm with an ailing MSME firm working on its recovery. Accolades, certificates, and expertise. He has received 4 national awards in manufacturing excellence and business analytics. Master Black Belt in Lean Six Sigma from ASQ and QT&T Singapore. Gained expertise in TQM and on TPM by Professor S. Yamaguchi. Services to Society, Assessor of Quality Business Excellence, Cost Maturity Award for Large MSME Certified Assessor for Quality Awards. Business Excellence Award, Cost Maturity Awards with FIXI, CII, ACMA, CII, Logistics, part of core committee at FIXI for driving Industry 4 maturity drive across MSME. large-scale organizations. National awards received National ACE Award for Manufacturing Excellence in 2012 from SAP, recognized as amongst top 100 future CIOs in December 2012 by 9.9 Media, received CIO Masters in Business Intelligence Award in March 2013 from Network 18. Before concluding, I would like to convey my appreciation to the speaker for his time and support in contributing to this webinar, as well as my colleagues in the core committee for organizing this webinar in these challenging circumstances. I thank you all participants most warmly for your participation and wish you all success with this webinar. In closing, I reiterate the commitment of AABN to continue to strongly support the entrepreneur community. Thank you, and over to you, Mr. Atul.
Today I will present the first slide on change and challenges. The change and challenges starts with the change. A change, one could be afraid, one could really look forward to it. If we looked at change the right way. I met a few persons a few days back in one of the networking seminars. One of them said, "Oh, we have no problem." Said, "What about your growth?" The sales are the same last 5-6 years. If last 5-6 years the sales is same or the profits are same or reducing, then something is there. We need to adopt change. We need to adopt change and take it as a challenge. Now the question comes, how to move from this place of status quo to adopting change, take it up as a challenge, and grow our business and our brand. Are we looking for some right answers? Before I come to that answer, that is the answer right? Is our thought process right? Do we need right answers? Or do we need right questions to be asked? So one of the great philosophers whom we follow in industry, he said very aptly, problems with most people is not in thinking, but the way they structure their thinking. So it is more important to ask the right question, frame it correctly to the people whom you are posing it to, so that the answer which you get is to the point and takes us to the goal. A right question framed correctly is better than several thousands of answers. So think. Since years immemorial, we have had great leaders, kings, etc. Everyone wanted to grow. They had their own challenges. Did they grow themselves? Or did they have some advisors to make them think, ponder on the right questions? I don't need to introduce him. Chanakya was a master of words, of articulation. The way he thought, the way he took up a challenge, he could inspire a young boy amongst the commoners to start thinking with a great vision that things are possible. To think of a great vision with such a great clarity that he gave the world Chandragupta Maurya the expanse of his kingdom for several years. And the credit goes to the way the questions were planted in his mind. So the question is, do I have to go to Chanakya? Do I have to read his books? What is today's world saying? Who are the modern world Chanakyas? The modern world Chanakya for years together. Baines, BCG, lead them all, McKinsey and Company. Established sometime in, I think, 1926. These three companies have been the advisors across the global, globally, across the nations, best of
Atul
the
Vij, please,
organization.
bit louder, please. Bit louder.
Okay, sir. These three consulting companies have been the advisors to the best of global MNCs, to nations, to economies. How they do differently? What is so fundamental in their approach to problem solving and common across all the best of them? How do they think differently, and how can we think like them? To think like them, to be unbiased when we are looking at things, to see at a thing holistically, to be able to see within a cake where the pen lies, how to slice it in such a way that you can reach at it directly. Such a complex problem which you do not know how to solve, approach it in a way that you are able to see what exactly to work on to get to the goal. This, my friends, is the MISI principle. MISI principle does not say that work with data, data, data. It says, despite the plethora of data with you, identify what question to ask, what specific data to be looked at, and then work on it. Focus with a goal in mind. So MISI, I'll just explain in very simple things. ME stands for mutually exclusive. For example, there are two things. If they are mutually exclusive, there is like a Venn diagram, there is nothing overlapping. In the first case, the two circles are separate. In second case, there is some overlap. For example, if I was to say cost or benefit, either something can be a cost or it can be a benefit. It can either be before or it can be after. So these are mutually exclusive. What about some areas where it is not exclusive? These days, if I say the NATO countries, Germany and Ukraine, is it exclusive? No. Just like National Capital Region and Delhi, not mutually exclusive. There is an overlap. So there are several such cases. Starting with a very simple example, but we will get to the depths. When we say collectively exhaustive, if an idea has been presented that relevant to that idea, all the things are there. Today, we have in our forum many CEOs, entrepreneurs, and people who think like them in terms of growth and challenges. Suppose I ask one of them, how is your financial status? Someone might say, oh, I want to really improve my sales. Is that a collectively exhaustive picture? No. You may be increasing on sales. Your profits might be denuding, not complete. He might say, okay, I look into my balance sheet and also my P&L, profit and loss. Very comprehensive way, perhaps. But there are many cases when despite having profits, you are in a cash-strapped company. So you will need balance sheet, profit and loss, your cash flow, and perhaps funds flow. Even with this, you may not get the complete picture. So you may need a costing perspective also. So if any of these things is missing, then you will not get the answers suited to the purpose. And if it is not collectively exhaustive, you will not get the right question to be asked. If the question to be asked is not right, of course, the answer will not take us to the goal. Let's practice just very basic of what is MISI. Answer is yes, no, simple. If I talk about the 4 seasons, autumn, spring, summer, and winter. Are these mutually exclusive, comprehensively, collectively exhaustive? Yes. Torso, head, legs, and hands, they are not, because torso and hands overlap. Today, we are in the month of Feb, around just 1 day short of Feb being over. So we have already seen Q1, Q2, Q3, and we have seen Jan and Feb. Is this mutually exclusive? No. Even if it is not classified properly. And second, it is not even comprehensively exhausted. Something is missing. And as I said in the previous example, whether we see geographically, there is an overlap. So with this very basics, I ask you this question. If I was to think, actually I should not ask because this is something which we studied in school days. 0 to 15, 15 to 30, 30 to 45. But the way we were taught, we were not taught to think in terms of problem solving approach. Here it is very simple. If I'm aged 15, whether I will come in the big group or first group or second one. I still remember in school days, my height was somewhere not too high. Now I'm about 6. That time it was not too high and not too less. And I went for jeans. One said, go to the kids section. Other said, go to the adult section. I could not find my jeans in any of them. They could have said for this particular dimension here, beyond this dimension here. So they were perhaps some losing out certain things. And I was losing out on my time. So it is very appropriate that you define the mutually exclusive categories very, very clearly. I will share what the inventor of MISI at McKinsey said about it. The inventor of MISI, she was a lady, Barbara Minto, a very interesting person. She was the first female student at Harvard. Not that only, she was the first consultant, first female consultant to be hired at McKinsey as a consultant. Several years back. And when she landed up there, within a short period of time, she created a mark for herself. The way she would write the report started to draw the attention of people. The way she would write the report would lead to the actions and solutions very, very fast. So her customer response was excellent. Gradually, she started attracting people within her consulting company. That, Barbara, can you also please structure my report the way I am looking into the problem so that the solutions can be found out easier? And then this just went on. And McKinsey is a global giant. She was getting notes for inputs across the globe. And when they recognized, they made her head of the training section on problem solving and other McKinsey techniques. And when she had mastered it, she taught McKinsey. She also taught at Bain's, BCG, Accenture, and so on. What is so typical about this word MISI? She says, MISI pulls out the information from your head. You did not know that it was there. If you think the MISI way, if I ask you question the MISI way, you will yourself get more and more clarity. A typical way of saying, a consultant comes to you, takes your watch and tells you the time. In the MISI way, I will ask you the problem and I will ask in such a way that you will be very clear when you give the answer. And with that answer, we will be very, very clear what to do. So let us talk of a practical case. I will share all my practical cases. I have done several assignments and MISI is one of the first things which I do. Sometime in late 90s, I was working in along with the World Bank and Danida on a health sector assignment at Madhya Pradesh. Madhya Pradesh was one of these Bimaru states. Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, Rajasthan, Odisha, in which the deaths were very high. So there were lots and lots of consultant funding agencies which were going to Madhya Pradesh and investing. And the death rate was so high, then we said, okay, let us look what can be done. All the consulting companies and their arms of World Bank, CEDA, etc., they were investing. The complication was that despite so much of things happening, there was no significant impact for over 5 years. We used to have 5 years plans those days. Nothing happened. Nothing changed. Women continued to be anemic and early marriage, etc. Things were getting complicated. Institutional births were not changing. Non-institutional was still happening. Low vaccine compliance, nothing changed in those 5 years. What could have been done differently? So this is what we approached when we took it up as a combined multi-consulting assignment. We started to train the chief medical health officers and the district collectors on the health parameters. Like I said earlier, do not boil the ocean. We said, okay, what is your data? Across all the deaths, you please categorize the deaths. We found the infant mortality, which says less than 1 year, was very high. 32 versus Madhya Pradesh at 52. That gave us some focus, but that was not enough. He said, is there any other categorization which you have? He said, yes. We also have got neonatal mortality rate. That is a child less than 28 days. And there, the difference was even wider. 44 versus 84 compared to 32 versus 52. So if we had to find the needle in the haystack, it was starting to show here. But it did not end here. This they knew for several years. This they said, we are working on it. Nothing is happening. He said, next. What is the further categorization? By regions, by villages, by cities, by gender. And we got the answers from them. All of them said, see, ours is a very poor state. If you see the first month, most of the girl child are killed. There is no point in exploring further. We said, okay, doesn't matter, the data is there. Let us look into it. Let us look into it the MESI way. And when we looked into the MESI way, the results spoke very different. The results were really awesome. Just a second. So the sliders got frozen. Just a second. What we found was the children who were dying, gender analysis indicated the death of male children was higher. This was a surprise to them, a fact which they had perhaps seen but ignored perhaps. And when we asked them, they were experts in their field. They said, yes, male deaths can be higher because the genetically a female child is stronger than a male child. Then we said, what next? This is something which actually opened up the vistas, which they had been trying for several years. They said, now if we approach our people, your even male children will die if you do not take antenatal and prenatal care for the women and children. Things will go wrong. That led to the acceptance of newborn care units at the district hospitals. And that even led to India newborn action plan in late 90s. And not only that, we further categorized our neonatal mortality deaths, which was 28 for less than 28 days, into single-born neonatal mortality rate and the stillborn death. Both these things were taken care of. So with the MESI approach, we did what several brains and lots of thousands of dollars could not do. So let's discuss on the health of a manufacturing unit. Again, the MESI way. Let us compare the health of two units. I'm talking about two very similar units in terms of sales revenue. Both have got 2,000 units of sale in terms of rupees. I'm not giving the units because that doesn't really make a difference. The costs were also the same and the losses also were the same. The volumes were also the same. So what was different? How would you do a profitability analysis of these two units differently? If I was in your place and had I not known MESI, I would have planned certain things in very same way that, okay, similar product size are there, similar markets are there. Okay, I am perhaps in auto component space, or I'm in some engineering electrical goods space. sales is same, everything is same, my staff is more or less similar, so something is wrong with the industry. I can't help it. Yours is bad. Oh, mine is also very bad. So no solution being taken. But what if we break it up the other way around in the MBC way? So if I say total cost, what is the breakup of my total cost? Rest are the same. I break my total cost into fixed cost and variable cost. Fixed cost does not vary by production levels. Variable cost varies by production levels. If I'm doing production, the variable cost will get incurred. If I'm not doing, it will not get incurred. But even if there is no production, the fixed cost for that month will be there. So just focus on this part. The volume for those is both the same. If my fixed cost is 1700, selling price is 2, variable cost is 400, 4000. So variable cost per piece will be 400 divided by 1000, 40 paise. So per piece, profit is 2 less 40, 1 rupee 60 paise. So what if I was to increase my volume? If I increase my volume by a certain number, this will get taken care of. This is called the break-even level. So the data which seems so similar, industry which seems very similar, every sales cost, and we were just blaming the industry. Now we found something that maybe we can do something here. If we increase the production to a certain level, then we will break even. And if you go beyond that, our profits will start happening. In the second plant, everything being the same. Now, if you see, the price per unit is 2 rupees, and the variable cost is 2020 divided by 1000, 2 rupee 2 paise. Every piece extra which gets made, they will lose 20 paise. So now the question comes to your mind that, okay, even if their balance sheet and P&L indicate the same things from a macro level, we need to identify differently. So if we increase their volume, it's a simple formula, the fixed cost divided by contribution per unit. We found that with 1062 units, they would have got 0 profit. And with anything more than 1062 unit, the unit of A would have actually started making profits. The second one would not. So think on your own. I will not get into this example. Maybe we can if we have time at the end. In 2016, I was working in an industry where because of certain things opening up, the market was getting very, very big. There was a pressure from the marketing department that they need more and more and more supplies. So we had to increase from 30,000 units. Mohanji, can you please mute? Sorry for interrupting. So we had to, the pressure on the organization was to increase the number of units from 30,000 to 50,000 units in one day. The constraint was, they said, we will not have any capex for this. Second, this was not enough. You will have to do with 2/3 workforce because the costing was very high. They were importing certain things from China, assembling them in India, and with that cost, the margins were less. And on top of it, it had to be done in less than 2 months' time. If we got time, please think on this. I would still suggest mentally, please make a note, take a picture of this page and work on it. It is a real life case study, which was solved in 2 months. And not only this, it was replicated across the plants. So coming back from a manufacturer's perspective, profit in a classical ways, selling price is equal to cost plus profit. We say that we demand our selling price, but these days it does not happen this way. We say the price has been given by the customer. If we can work on the cost, then we will get the profit. So my MECE equation becomes price minus cost is equal to profit as a comprehensive equation. And then I can say my cost can be what is the value being added? What are the auxiliary costs? Can I minimize those auxiliary costs? Can I minimize certain wastes? If these three components I can work on, then my price minus cost component broken into mutually exclusive areas of value added, waste, and auxiliary, I could get a higher. Similarly, if I talk about my profit elements, this I've already talked about cost price being either fixed and variable. In addition, if I talk about my volumes here, selling price minus cost price, if something which has got a higher price volume, higher profit margin, if I increase their volume, and for certain items where the margins are very less, if I could do that, could it make a difference? Or in terms of a product price combo, I work on this strategically, that you take 4 things at high profit, and along with that, take also 2 things at low profit. So per invoice, my profit is very high. So this becomes a key input for my strategic discounting practices. So we have discussed one case on this. Second case I have given to you. Just think on this. Unless you practice yourself, this will not open up. In the meantime, we will talk about the next topic. This is internal. How would you plan your market growth? One of the organizations which I had worked on was very, very proud. This was sometime in 2016, end of 2016. They said they were the leaders in Indian industry in their domain. The problem was that although they were the largest, they were so large, they were in the auto component space, that when Hero had to target someone on certain practices, they said, if we take care of this giant, the rest of them will follow. So big. And their understanding of growth was sales is increasing. Profit was not in that order. And they still wanted to increase the sales. So something they said is missing. We are able to increase the sales, but the basic function of the organization is to get profits. Why is that not happening? So then we said, okay, let us again look into the messy way. Can we divide our market in 2 ways? They had that time about close to 15,000 distributors across, dealers across primary level, second tier, third tier, etc. So they said, okay, let us divide existing markets and new markets. Then we said, of your 2,500 product range, can you categorize them also into existing and possibly as new? So then our messy equation of mutually exclusive came out this way, and comprehensively exhaustive. Markets could be either new or existing. The products could be either existing or new, and we could have a combination of all these 4. What is the advantage of that? Because each of these fractions will need a different strategy, different action, different KRAs, different focus in the organization structure, different focus when we have to network with external experts. For existing market and existing products, focus is on penetration strategy. If I'm meeting 100 dealers in this area, can this become 150? Can I go to the next tier also? Suppose I'm selling to a distributor does to a dealer. Can I go to the mechanics also and see how the mechanics level also promote our product? If suppose my product has high breakage, a mechanic would gradually say, don't buy this product because it takes me rework. So addressing their concerns. Once their concerns are addressed, they will pull it and our market will increase. Second, within existing products, would we identify new market? Suppose I'm already there in Tamil Nadu. Would I go to the neighboring state? For that, what is a market development I need to do? What is the structure which will change? What are the key result areas which will change? How would marketing and sales function start addressing it? How would we get the needs and aspiration and the hidden needs and the pains of people in that new market for the existing products? If you do that, we will definitely increase. But moment you identify the question in this messy way, our gaps will start showing up. And once the gaps start showing up, we will be able to address them. Next, the foremost. Several years back, this was added. There is an organization called Automotive Component Manufacturers Association. We were being guided by Japanese a lot when Maruti came in, sometime in 80s. A lot of training was happening in the TQM way. They introduced a parameter that how much of your product is new. That every year, because the cars and two-wheelers models also keep changing, you also have to keep thinking fresh and more and more and more. A component was added. This, if we read the global case studies, there also this was there in 3M. They had a factor called 30% products should be new every year. If your products are new, only then the markets will start expanding. You will open up new vistas for this. But will you do new in anything? There was a guideline for this also. An existing market and a new product, we can work hand in hand with our existing customers. Do a new product development in extended partnership. Propose them solutions, understand and work on this new product development. Our engineering would be working in close interface with the engineering of our customers. So our organizational structure, key result areas, focus is very clear because of this MISI way classification. And the foremost, for further expansion, the way the industry challenges are coming in now, with Industry 4.0 coming in, with lots and lots of millennials, their thought process changing, their lifestyle changing, they need different sort of products altogether, and a different sort of market is emerging. Will we cater to that? So how will we diversify to that? In certain evolved economies, now they are saying that there is only two of these, that existing product, existing market, and all the three, they are trying to club into diversification because so many changes are happening across. So, had you not thought about this MISI, would we have thought about our organizational structure, our key result areas, our strategies, our breakthrough initiatives in this clarity? It would have taken a lot of experience and many years. We may be doing the right things, but definitely we could do better if we classify it this way. We take up certain breakthrough targets at the senior-most level for each of those quadrants. And at execution level, give it to people down below and make teams for them to work on this. So once this has been defined, how would you plan your steps for growth? We know our product, we know our market, but what next? How does MISI define some other tools also? For example, if my organization wants to grow, there would be some sort of an introspection happening that last few years we have done so much. This is definitely where we are strong on. This is something which we are weak on. Second, this is something which is happening externally. Earlier, China was a threat. Now the problems in China is also posing opportunity for us. So with changing things, we come to the internal and external analysis. If this internal analysis is clear, my internal becomes my strengths and my organization weaknesses. Suppose I have got 5 locations. Every one of them will be doing their strengths, weaknesses. But then as a business entity of all these businesses, similar businesses or different businesses, we have to do together because the organization structure or the corporate might be same. If we define, let us do it differently, we may not get the results. In 2003, I joined an organization which was just 300 crores. I will tell you the climax. In 2016, when I left, they were at 6,500 crores. Between 2003 to 2007, we had done 300 crores to 1,000 crores of turnover 3 times. But I will tell you one thing. Between 2003 and 2005, I was heading the strategy and business excellence. Business heads were saying 1,000 is not possible. We perhaps have to defer the goal or revise it. What was it they were missing? And I will share what is it that we asked differently, that not only we met the 1,000 crores target, This gave us a zeal to go from 1,000 crores to 10,000 crores in 10 years. So external analysis is opportunities and threats. Something is okay, something is missing. I will give you a few seconds to think by yourself what could be possibly missing. Do we know how to classify our strengths and weaknesses? These are totally exclusive, no doubt about that. Something could be an opportunity, something could also be a threat, but still it is mutually exclusive. I could link these things, like this is typically called SWOT analysis. I could link it to SWOT to become a TOES analysis by integrating these functions that, okay, if I'm working on my strengths, my threats will get mitigated. If I'm working on my strengths, certain opportunities will get leveraged. If I'm working on the key strengths, then some of the weaknesses might get negated. Even then, it is messy, but like I said in the previous slide, have we taken a comprehensive view? So, friends, let us explore what is missing in this VC perspective. Because for sure, it is not easy. My SWOT of yesteryears, that I am so strong, my manufacturing capacity is so much, my market share is so much, my quality is so much. Will that hold? Several years back, when I got started, talking about 2003 to 2005, we were in rejection of percentage levels. And the customer wanted parts per million level. Our goal was parts per million. But we were still saying that we are very strong because we are ahead of the competition. That was not helping. So we had to very clearly work out that whatever we are adding as a SWOT at a unit level, at a corporate level was a weakness, because corporate had to drive them for a future SWOT, where all these things which are pulling us down, the strengths and the threats and the weaknesses, we have to work on them. We worked on something called a quality culture principle. Very simple. We said, following something like a major 80-20 rule, I will not get into the depth of that today. What if we focus on major few parts and kill that part in the next 2 to 3 months time? So every 3 months, I am able to address 20% of the highest failures and reduce it by 80%. Give it 1 month to stabilize. Repeat this thrice a year. That means first 4 months, I reduce work on 80% in terms of 100, 1000 becomes 800 less. So I am working on 2200. In the next, again, I work on for 80% results. So 80% into 80% becomes 64%. Then again, I work on the third one, and again multiplying by 0.8, I get to roughly like 0.49%. By the end of the year, I have come to half my rejection levels. We said, okay, let us repeat, because following our corrective action, preventive action, if we have resolved something, we move forward, past will not repeat. Over 3 years, 1/5 into 1/5, half into half into half, we came to 1/10 level. So we were very clearly able to see this is our goal SWOT, and whatever was the strength of yesterday is not enough. We need to work on it today. So yesterday's SWOT minus goal SWOT is my action plan, defined by this MECE approach. Similarly, a customer was working with us, and we were saying that, okay, this is what we are doing. We started doing customer surveys, and we started asking them, okay, maybe in our product segment, we are the best, but can you please give us a feedback in some other product segment, also in auto components category, are there some companies which are growing better than us in terms of the processes? And we got the inputs. Since it was non-competing area, we were able to get certain insights from them. When we deployed those insights, we used that something called a database benchmark. Second was a process-based benchmark. When we started working on process-based benchmarks, our inventory levels, our production planning things, and our new product development process as it is improved a lot. Because the customer said that maybe your past tense was okay, but in your past tense, in some other product category, somebody is even better. So our current SWOT indicated we are very good, but from the customer's point of view, they said that maybe 3 years time, someone else could have been better from you. This gap gave us an action plan to be worked on. Again, with this, we were more comprehensive in our approach. And while we were working on it, our competitors would not be sleeping. They were also working on our SWOT. Where did they think that we are stronger and they are working to kill us on our strength? So we said, let us do our SWOT from what competitors think about us. So with these 3 questions getting added, it was getting more and more comprehensive for the actions to be taken. So what next? A SWOT internal analysis, when we get into it deeper and deeper, is further in terms of MISI approach broken down by McKinsey 7S principles. I will not get into that in this session today. Today is the first session, just focus on MISI. Similarly, if I talk about the external analysis, there is another in-depth approach, again based on MISI, which talks about business canvas or pestle analysis. So that means with you're working on the right direction, exactly at the right parameter. And if we focus that way, we will be moving very fast for the goals which we thought are not possible. The examples of which I said, in one case, we said 30,000 mobiles, we can perhaps increase by 10%. We increase from 30,000 to 50,000 in 1 day with 2/3 workforce. Just imagine the impact on our profits. In another case, we grew from 100 crores, 300 crores to 1,000 crores, and then from 1,000 crores to 6,500 crores. In an industry, when in 2008 we had slump, in our case, the slump was there, but our profits and sales were undeterred. Our profits were actually higher because we had done the MISI way. I had worked with McKinsey, and when I was working with them, in the beginning itself, in the strategy section, we had introduced McKinsey into our system. They said, I still take pride in that we have given you a person who knows all our tools. In case you still get stuck, you can still come to us. But at that level, when we were just 300, 500 crores, they said, we are too expensive for you. You rather learn our principles and deploy yourself rather than engage with us. And those are the principles which I have shared with you today, by which we could grow from 300 crores to 1,000 crores and from 1,000 to 6,500 crores. This one simple word of MISI, we think we are MISI, but if you think deeper, we would not be. And this goes on and on. So I hope you enjoyed the learning in today's session. I am sure that we have started on the key principles. Like a Rubik cube, we have to see from different perspectives and in a very short span of time, come up with the right solution. So we will keep learning. And I hope that the Chanakya in us gets awakened. We are able to see our vision with a great clarity, focus on exactly the right thing to be acted on, and monitor it along with the team who has to work on what, without failing to achieve our goal, which could perhaps was not possible to even dream of. Thank you very much. So in case you have any queries, you can please. In case, Gopiji, in case I have time, if someone wants to discuss that case study, which I have left open, we can do that. But we can always do that because there is too much of it in the mind load. I would suggest we can stop here and leave the rest for the other sessions. Just as an introduction, the German company was, there I'm mentioning here, was into losses. When I worked with them, they said the approach which you follow, they were exporting stones, sandstones, granite, etc., is so unorganized. We are at such a level that we are so unorganized as a sector. How can we improve? with the best of our MISI thought processes and our process approach, we were able to resolve. And then they said that, okay, assignment is over. Would you please accept to be a director of the company, even if you give 4 days to 10 days a month? Because with this, we know that our people will be in the right thought process and we will be aligned for growth. So this one principle, with this one principle, I have been able to do 12 turnarounds and growth stories, and I'm working on my 13th and 4th. I have used this principle in the health sector, in the electronics sector, now in the stones sector, in the replacement market sector, in the chemical sector, you name it, and I would have done it. So I find this is such a principle which unfortunately all of us have learned as a Venn diagram, but we did not know how to actually leverage it. So think the MISI way, think like what a leader thinks differently, asking the right question, and now you start asking the right questions so that you get to your goals, which are not possible to be even dreaming of, and achieve them. Thank you, sir. I'm stopping sharing. Gopi sir, in case people have any queries, they can ask. Otherwise, I have finished in my allotted time.
Sir, good morning, sir. Good morning, Atul sir. It was a very fantastic and excellent session. Really, that MISI concept. I just wanted to know, sir, is this getting recorded in YouTube? We can access this later? Or
It's recorded, Sanjay. It's recorded, Sanjay.
In under AABN, this thing?
Yeah.
Okay, sir.
We will send you the link. You can share your number, we'll send you the link.
Share. I will write my number here to you.
Yeah, please.
Okay, sir. I will do that, sir. And sir, thank you, Vij sir. I will contact you again. Thank you very much.
Sure, sir. Gopi sir is on a very good initiative. We are trying to learn and share with each other so that together we can do much more than what we could even have thought of.
Yes, sir.
Starting very simple, but unless we think simple, we will not be able to solve complex problems.
Yes, sir.
And I would suggest that when you're reading the link, please try to do some problem which you have been facing in the MISI way. If you are in manufacturing, try to think, how was that possible? 30,000 to 50,000 with 2/3 workforce in 2 months' time without capex. I will not give the answers, because if I give the answers, your thought process will not evolve. So homework for you, like in school days.
Good morning, Mr. Atul. This is Shanmuham.
Hello, sir.
It was a walk down the memory lane, because I've been a lean coach in my earlier organization, trained by McKinsey, and I've been a lean mentor for almost 4 years, 5 years, doing lean exercises for most of the insurance projects in my earlier organization. This was a very good nostalgia, re-looking at all the principles of lean coming, or you talking about it. Thank you very much.
You would have learned it very implicit way while you were there. It is so simple. All of us need to learn it across.
Sure. Yes. Definitely. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Participants, you can please unmute and ask your questions, please.
Atul, this is Murli. Hello.
Yes, sir.
See, I just want to know from your experience this.
Yes, please.
Very articulated, right? And we apply for IT industry as well. The reason is very often we make stats plan at the end for the beginning of the year, right? And we do all the strategy planning and all. But every year we do. It is become a repetitive exercise. But if you look back, right, the strategy execution part, right, how much we have executed.
Are you through? Should I answer now? Can I answer?
Yes, please.
Yeah. IT is not a sector actually by itself. IT is a support sector for all other sectors. I will give it as an example, then I will come to your answer. When I was at this auto component company, which grew from 300 crores to 6,500 crores, they were looking into IT as if a hardware networking solution. I said, no, that is not the way. Let us look at it from a strategic initiative angle, that IT interfaces with each and every process, each and every strategic initiative. When that happened, then so many things, as if the wheels got greased and we were able to do 10 times the speed. This approach was so much admired and I got so many results. That is what gave me the top 100 future CIOs and the Business Analytics Award. Coming back to now, I am also an assessor on several awards. Industry 4.0 in IT sector is actually a tool for all the industries, whether it is manufacturing or health. Unless we interface it with their processes, they will not be able to go at that speed with the industry, with the people want. And coming back to your section, I have worked in an IT company in which I mentioned the volumes grew huge. And the kind of problem which we were faced, just imagine, it was so much of investment, so much of skill available in-house. And it was just waiting for someone to just collect like a rosary beads, somebody had to just interlace. The moment we did that, we were able to resolve those problems. Within 2 months, we were able to solve. If you are in IT, that you are already in a state of mind when you're challenging things. You have to just ask the right question. And you will perhaps be able to do 10 times faster than the rest. And a very interesting field, sir, for you to be in.
Thanks for sharing perspectives. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I come, sir?
Yes,
Sir,
sir.
please go on, sir. Anil sir, go on, sir.
Yes, sir. Atulji, excellent session and explained in a very, very simple way. So my question is, this mutually exclusive and collective exclusive, this term, can we use these principles on infrastructure like water, power, and roads, etc.? These things, can we apply there also?
Yes, sir. I'll give an example. Then we will come to your answer. Suppose I'm hiring someone as a typist. When you would have been in your yesteryears, you would have hired several typists. So the tool which you would have given to them was perhaps a typewriter or later a computer. When your organization at a huge level, they would have started MIS. Your MIS, several people would have joined in MIS department. And at that stage, you would have perhaps told them to learn Excel. Now, when we are hiring people, we want them to be thinkers and solvers of problems. We have to give them the right tools. Will IT tool like Excel be used only by certain people or by all of them? Will this MECE approach be limited to certain that this is a way of thinking? As I said in the first slide, answer is in structuring the problem correctly. If you structure your problem correctly, you will immediately know where to take an action. I gave an example in the last session. I was suffering from something called rheumatoid arthritis. And the doctor said that because of this, lifelong, you will have to be on certain steroids and several other things. I said, no, let me do some problem solving for myself. Then I started again the MECE way. When I did the MECE way, the first thing came out, okay, what is in my control, what is not in my control. Then when I came to my organs, I again divided into 9 categories and they boiled down that, okay, this happens because in the gut, in my stomach, in the gut area, because of, say, my past twice tuberculosis happened, some fissures have opened up in the side walls. Through those side walls, the protein is actually escaping. When that protein escapes into the bloodstream, my antibodies think that it is an attack by the, and they attack on my own body. What if I was to do an action by which my gut gets repaired? If my gut gets repaired, this autoimmune response of attacking my own body, that will not happen. In one case, they said that, okay, maybe you are autoimmune, you are also on the borderline of diabetes. Okay, they took a test, they said, yeah, it is borderline. I said something else. There is an artificial intelligence-based tool. It's called OligoScan. 5-minute scan, and they gave a test of about, I think, 70 parameters. And that immediately gave chromium was very less, one element. And it was so less. Immediately, the person who was analyzing, she said, "Sir, do you go for frequent urination at night?" I said, "Yes." "What about your sugar problem?" I said, "Doctor has told me to abstain." She says, "Just take medicine for 2 months. Once it gets okay, the problem is resolved." If I had I not done the Missy way as my own doctor inside, I would have been living with steroids as the only respite. I said, let me use my problem solving tool on myself. So answer to you or anyone who is asking, just explore your mind how to do it that way. First, at the top level, in mutually exclusive, it should be comprehensively exhaustive. Suited to the purpose, break down into mutually exclusive compartments. Then seeing the goal in perspective, see whether some compartment has been missing or not. Once those are clear, then you find out which particular data will give what indication of cause and effect. Formulate a hypothesis, work on that hypothesis and get an answer. This we intend to do in the 3rd or 4th module on how to do this problem solving. Today was because if we talk too much in one session, it will not perhaps be easily absorbed. Something which I have mastered over years and years, I myself cannot teach in 1 hour.
Correct.
But Missy as an answer is, I think, one single solution for any problem solving as an approach.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Sir, one small question, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, this like where Missy cannot be applied, number one, and is it like where the business faces unknowns, there Missy cannot be applied? Is it so, or any particular case where we cannot apply this in a business context?
So when we went to Mars, the problem would have been structured. We
Yes.
did not know anything about that planet.
Yes.
And we had a budget of a tight budget resource constraint. We also had a time constraint, and we had a strict time that by that time our satellite should have been there. How would have they classified their problem into mutually exclusive areas? How would have they classified their problem to ensure that nothing is missing? Where would they take thought through risk actions with a backup and second backup plan?
So which means in case that Mars mission fails, then they learn
They will learn where it was
from the failures, and then
yes.
and grow your exhaustive collection.
You remember one of the cases, something had splintered off from the body of the satellite. And when it went into the space, because of that part which got splintered off, the mission failed.
Okay.
In one of the cases, I'm just talking about the mutually exclusive, the data sanctity. Can you imagine? This satellite was being developed across the countries. And the reason why it failed? All the places we were working on metric systems. In the other case, they were not working on a metric system. I cannot add inches
Okay. Yes.
to some other unit.
So that was part of the.
Kgs to pounds.
Okay.
So if my mutually exclusive segment was not clearly defined, such a big mission was getting failed for someone's folly at the level of class 5. So this basic sanity check, that are we in the right direction? This is not a principle. This is how do we learn to think. It is not learning how to solve. This is how learn to think so that we can ask the right questions. If we ask the right question, the other person will come out with the right answers. Just imagine that I have worked 12 business turnarounds and I have worked across different industries. Whenever I get into an industry, I would have never worked there in the beginning. How is it that I am able to do the turnaround in 6 to 8 months' time? Whereas even a TQM journey is typically said to be done in 3 years. So there must be something which I am asking differently to myself and to the team. The team has their solutions. Once they know what to work on, they can squeeze the time. So hats off to, I think I was destined to learn certain things in my early stage of the career that I learned this. And that is what I'm sharing with you all. Although the topic was so big, I started on a very small topic that if this small thing can be understood, it can work magic. It's like the liver. With this liver, we can move the world. With this liver, we can move action into our dreams. Sorry for this metaphor, but I think it fits in.
But sir, the only thing is, like in the case of HR issue, you may sometimes not able to have deconstruct it completely, like make it mutually exclusive, because there may be some overlapping issue. It may be a social issue or a cultural issue, or an organizational cultural issue. There may be an overlap. I mean, this is especially in terms where human beings are involved. Systems and processes are fine, but in terms of HR, the overlapping may be there, sir. I mean, that's what I'm asking actually. I do not know.
I will again give by an example, then come to an answer. I was given charge of a unit, which was a Japanese unit. It was also into losses, and it also had a union problem. And when I joined, there was immediate pressure that you need a very senior HR person to come and manage your union-based issues. Otherwise, your unit will go out of control. And for a very simple reason, I said, I don't want to add to my expenses. I want a very lean unit to start with. And in case I really get stuck up, I will seek your help support. I actually broke the problem down of this union by certain sections and by different ways by which our OEM hero had actually taught us. I was able to really pin down on which are the elements, the people and areas where I need to work on. I started to plan my daily schedule. I would go to the factory, address those 3-4 points. Can you imagine in 1.5 months' time, those people were on our side. They did not even sign on that union. Whereas this was an area called Manesar. The whole of Bawal near to Manesar. The impact of Manesar was coming onto Bawal. And they wanted to unionize the complete area. Our unit, our adjacent units went to the union. Ours refused to join them. Okay. In one of the companies where I was leading SAP, in SAP, the biggest problem is that people start leaving. And just imagine a company where you get 4 national awards. Your market value would be very high of your people. Our consultant, IBM, they said, Atul, you can come with your 40 people team and we will absorb you and we will give service to Minda for free for 2 years. Why did they do that? Why did our people not leave? Why was it we had some sort of a variable pay system? Why is it that with such a small system, small unit, we were able to get the highest of incentives across the group? We had 40 units that time. So I applied this for HR also. I applied this in IR also. And this showed in employee motivation. This showed in employee retention. Each of those persons, this has been about, I think, 11 years now, 9 years now. They are heading certain sections. Some of them later on shifted to some consulting companies when I left. So right approach, so right action. If right action, it will sustain. And nothing will stop. Whatever is right, wrong now, next year, you may still have to work on it to again ensure that it is right. Because answers for today may be right. Answers for same answer for tomorrow may not be right.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
I hope with an experience example, I think the examples will get clear because your specific question may not be there in your wordings. But with this, perhaps you can think along.
Yes,
and I'm sure you will, with thinking this Nisi way, you will definitely get something. Otherwise, sir, I'm always there with you. Gopi-san is there. You can reach us out.
Thank you also.
Gopi-san.
Hi, sir.
So to be on a lighter side.
Yes, sir.
So this Bawal is very close to me, this town, and it produces the healthiest chana, white chana, what you call it, white chana in India. And people come there and be there, and you know, it is one of the healthiest things there because the soil and the climate is such. So it produces a beautiful, these things, maize and chana there. Yes, thank you. Now it is an industrial hub, Earlier it was a small village. Now it is Atul sir, now it is an industrial hub. That
so Manesar and then after Manesar,
yes.
That is why this union activity is very, very critical. In the beginning itself, they wanted this to get so.
Yes.
So the right time action was very critical.
Participants, you can please post your questions, please.
So before asking any right question, we must have total clarity on the symptoms and causes, and then only we can think of, modeling any new thing. No?
Start with the end in mind.
Yes, total clarity on all this. Yes.
Start with the end in mind. Then you define whether whatever we are saying, whether it is mutually exclusive or not, and whether it is comprehensive or not. Like I said, in the case of SWOT analysis, start with the end in mind. Don't do SWOT of this year only, or don't do SWOT this year based on your last year's SWOT. Don't do copy paste.
Thank you. Thank you. Copy and paste is dangerous.
In other words, I would like to just add that we need to, whatever is got cluttered, we need to just declutter the thing and break it into parts, and exclusively we have to take each part one by one, and with clarity we need to go ahead with the problem in a messy way.
Maheshji, to build up on what you are saying, when I tackled that Madhya Pradesh issue, the stack of MIS was something like about so many reports were there that if I was to keep them on a table, we would get about, I think, 8 inches of paper, 8 inches height of paper. Can you imagine, after this MISI, we were carrying 3 sheets. We just did 3 simple sheets of analysis. That's what I said in the beginning, do not boil the ocean. Do the MISI approach, find out exactly what you need to act on. That is how the clarity comes in, and that is why you need to ask questions in a very crisp manner to the team, but to the people who are on the floor, to people who are actually facing the front, because they actually have the answers. We have not asked them. Just imagine the German company where I'm working on, they were doing 35 containers a month. In about a year and a half time, despite so much of increase in sea freight, we are doing 85 containers a month. Same workforce, same suppliers, same customers. What did we do different? I can take another 1 hour on this, but if I have to say one principle which I used was MISI. By challenging, yes, if this is possible, how do I reclassify into ME and SC? CE?
Sir, I think MISI can be put in a simple word like big details and all the relevant details.
Sir, I have given, so you will have to start with macro to micro.
Macro to micro.
You have to have your goal very clear.
Yeah,
where you want to go, where you have been. And then you have to see from different perspectives whether you're getting the right picture or not.
Yes, sir.
Then you have to do a drill down. If you're doing a drill down the right way, it is like looking for a diamond. There is one diamond deep down in the soil. What will you do for that? Unless your approach is very clear, you will not be able to hit it. Suppose there is a child who goes down the tunnel. Sometimes we are able to save the child, sometimes we are not able to. How do we plan ourselves so that we can deep dive into the tunnel and save the child, bring it out live?
Yes. Thank you.
Sarana Kumar, you can please unmute and ask your question, Sarana Kumar.
Sir, can you, sir?
Yes, Savanji.
Sir, can you share the MISI method? Do you apply it in chemical sector? Do you say that firstly, sir?
Yes, sir.
Before
so in
that,
one of the companies, I was working at Godfrey Phillips several years back, and their unit called Modi Care was not able to increase their suppliers' rates for 3 years, and they approached us at what they can do. They said, if we increase the suppliers' rates, their profits will sink. And they were doing all chemicals like floor cleaners and etc., cleaning agents, several things were there in their kitty. I said, okay. So again, I did the MISI way, and just giving one example, the fastest moving concentrate detergent was having a rejection of 11%. And it was a given fact because the R&D person said that this is given, this is our process, you cannot change it, you cannot change the supplier, you cannot change the material, you cannot change the process container, nothing can be changed. I said, okay. When I did my MISI approach, I found out what to work on. And we reduced 11% to 0.75%. Again, about a month and a half time. And this was one of the initiatives of the several initiatives I have taken in that unit of chemicals. We were able to reduce from 44% cost of goods sold to 34% cost of goods sold. Their suppliers got happy that after 3 years, they were still getting the same rate, but they were also making profits. Had I not done the MECE approach, like I said, I did not know anything about the chemicals. I had got into the unit for the first time and I was starting to work after about a week's 10 days time. I just used this approach to understand their process, understand from their data what needs to be worked on. Just imagine another homework for you in your chemical sector. What could have been done to reduce from 11% to 0.75% without changing anything? No specs change, no material change, nothing is changing. How can you reduce 11% to 0.75%? Because the moment you start thinking the MECE way, you will get to the answer. And it is like it comes to you in minutes the moment you start thinking like that. You don't need a team of 20 people to brainstorm. You have to hit the right question, frame it correctly and ask the right question. To give you a clue, I said, okay, if 100 kg goes in, 89 kg comes out, what is this 11 kgs? In mutually exclusive terms, 11 kg in my equation was not coming. They said, maybe it's a gas. So I got very clearly that, okay, it is not ash, I have got gas. If it is a gas, then certain things are reacting. What could be reacting, which could produce a gas? This way I went down and I was able to work on the solution. I just told you the path. Otherwise, we have done chemical balance equations, I think since class 7th. We have been taught the right things, but we are not applying them the right way. BC tells us to apply it the right way. All the people have got the right answers, ask them the right question. A right question in the right way, which is mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustive, suited to the purpose. For example, I say someone coming to your home, what will you give them? First, you will ask whether breakfast or lunch or dinner or snacks. Okay, fine. So that level of MECE is over. Then you will say, okay, if they are coming in, what would they like? Vegetarian, non-vegetarian, vegan, Jain, or whatever. Again, you will be doing that. Again, you will say, okay, does somebody have a medical history? Would they like something which is sort of banned for them and something which is allowed? So once you go through that, within 10 minutes, your menu will be ready. Otherwise, you will serve them and somebody will say, oh, sorry, I don't take non-veg. Oh, sorry, because of diabetes, I don't take this. And your effort will go waste. If you had asked the right questions in one WhatsApp message to the team, to the person whom you are inviting, you will be able to plan it well. So whether it is chemicals, I am taking the chemicals into the kitchen. So MECE is, again, I'm saying, it is the way we structure the problems in our mind. I started with a very big thing. All of us will be interacting with, or maybe we are, or entrepreneurs, we all want to grow. Why did I show the picture of Chanakya? Could someone who is amongst the commoners think that that person will ever become a king of such an expanded state, which is bigger than the current country? And that too for years and years together. What could have been the thing implanted in that person's mind? What question would have sparked out that, okay, yes, this is possible? In one of the assignments, the client said that you are saying you will turn around in 6 to 8 months. In our perspective, and they had a collaborator from Italy, they said we will take about 5 years. I said we will take about 6 to 8 months. Maybe it will take maybe 10 months. Because I had been in the plant for 3 months, 3 days, and I'd looked into the MIS. On the way out, I said, okay, you don't give us the fees, you give us a percentage of the savings. After 3 days, we got a call that, okay, maybe we have not understood, but you do it. Can you imagine? I am, with whatever my qualifications are, the head of that organization was an expert in that field from IIT. So in terms of skill and competence, there was nothing lacking. But maybe what I learned at McKinsey as a MECE approach is something which perhaps was not taught to him.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the wonderful answer, sir. Sir, I have one more question, sir. In SWOT analysis, other than T, everything in our hands, sir. How do you tackle the threats in MECE, sir? MECE method, sir.
Sir, SWOT we will do in the next session.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Because it is a very big subject.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, sure, Raman. Go ahead, Sir Raman.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Sir, good afternoon. It was a very nice session, and the examples you're talking about MEC was very good one. But I just want to know, do you suggest any books where MEC concepts are there, so that it will be easy for us to read it and understand the concepts in a better way? Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, sir, do you suggest any MEC concept books wherein we can read it and understand the concepts in a better way?
I think, sir, these days Google is the best teacher, sir. It is such a simple thing. So for Excel, what will you do?
Sir, Google is collectively exhaustive, sir. Google is collectively exhaustive.
Sir, learn and deploy.
Right. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Gopi, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. One last question. If anybody else has a question, please ask your question.
अभी वो भी नहीं घर से
Okay, I think we are done, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Atul, sir.
Thank
For an inspiring, warm, and motivating session. I'm sure all of us had several takeaways from the session. Your views were very clear, practical, and gave lots of insight to the power of MEC. Thank you very much for being with us on a Sunday morning. Look forward to working with you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.